The thick, glossy black hair that once was my pride and joy. But things have changed. My hair started falling out, slowly at first, then in clumps. Brushing my hair became a terrifying nightmare. Strands kept falling to the floor, as if someone were cutting my hair that I didn't know. The patches of baldness grew larger and more noticeable. They made me feel insecure and isolated from everyone. Nick is an amazing guy, but I no longer felt worthy of standing beside him. My thinning hair and uneven bald spots made me look like an ugly monster, no matter how hard I tried to hide it. I knew Nick had seen the mess I'd become. One evening, after working late, I didn't go straight home. Instead, I wandered aimlessly through the dimly lit streets, lost in my thoughts. Suddenly, I found myself stopping in front of a wig shop. The place looked shabby. Through the grimy glass window, I caught a glimpse of myself smiling. My eyes locked onto it, a wig, but not just any wig. This was the thickest, most luxurious hairpiece I had ever seen. My heart raced with excitement. Yes, this was exactly what I needed. I had to buy this wig. Now look who's the one with this thick, gorgeous hair. It's me. Overwhelmed with joy, I called Nick.
You sound happy? What's going on?
I want to show you my new hair. Now I felt completely confident. I took the comb and ran it through my thick black hair. Oh, it felt amazing. But then, a sharp, itching pain suddenly interrupted my joy. The itch grew unbearable and I couldn't stop scratching. Tiny white flakes fell onto my hands. Why was there so much dandruff? And why did it seem like the flakes were moving? I shuddered and a sharp headache hit me again. I wondered, maybe it's all the long hours at work that caused this? I grabbed a bottle of painkillers. I gulped them down in a hurry. I told myself I had to endure, at least until the anniversary date with Nick. I couldn't let anything ruin this. That day, I decided to prepare a romantic dinner at home to surprise Nick. The doorbell rang. Nick stepped in. He handed me a bouquet of deep red roses. I forced a smile, trying to appear cheerful despite the worsening pain. Suddenly, Nick glanced around, his face hesitant.
Do you smell something weird, Ellen? It's kind of rotten.
I took Nick's hand and smiled brightly. I don't smell anything. Come on, let's have dinner. During the meal, Nick seemed uncomfortable. Then he took a small box from his pocket and opened it, revealing an exquisite ruby necklace.
Let me put it on for you.
His fingers gently brushed through my hair as he fastened the clasp, and for a moment, I felt the warmth of his affection. But then, a horrifying scream tore through the air. I turned to Nick, and then I saw his hand. Maggots. They were biting his hand, slimy and terrifying to the point that I couldn't breathe.
What is this?
Nick screamed, his face pale and twisted in horror. Nick looked at me as if I was some kind of monster.
So that's where the stench was coming from. It's you, Ellen.
Without another word, he bolted for the door, not even bothering to look back. At that moment, I realized something terrifying. The pain and the strange itching weren't caused by work stress. I clutched my head, the agony feeling like it was tearing my flesh apart. I desperately tried to pull clumps of hair from my scalp. The sticky substance clinging to my hands made me sick to my stomach. My heart ached. I couldn't believe my eyes. Maggots! They were crawling, wriggling beneath the thick layer of hair, clinging tightly to my scalp. I couldn't control myself anymore. I vomited, the disgust spreading through my entire body. I collapsed onto the floor. The pain was so intense it felt like my scalp was being torn apart. In the dim darkness, all I could hear was my own ragged breathing. My body felt weak and my vision blurred. I wanted to run outside to find Nick, but I couldn't. I felt myself slowly losing consciousness. Suddenly, I heard the sound of hurried footsteps. Nick! He had returned with a group of people. In my dazed state, all I could hear was one sentence from them.
We need to get her to the hospital immediately.
Everything was a blur. I saw the doctor holding my medical report. I heard the news on TV.
A girl has been hospitalized due to a wig made from the hair of a deceased person. The wig is believed to contain harmful parasites, causing severe health issues.
I'm Katie, or at least that's the name I've adopted for the internet. You probably know me, or knew me, as the blindfolded mukbang YouTuber who captivated millions with my silent, bizarre eating broadcast. My channel skyrocketed because of the mystery I cultivated. A simple gimmick: never show my face, never speak, and always eat ravenously, like I hadn't touched food in days. It worked. Bruises on my wrist, Morse code taps on my plates, cryptic captions with capitalized SOS letters, every little detail carefully planned to keep viewers hooked. They speculated endlessly. Is she kidnapped? Is she being held against her will? Who's behind the camera? The truth? No one was behind the camera but me. I wasn't a victim. I was the mastermind, and I made a killing off it, literally and figuratively. At first, my fabricated cries for help were enough to pull in views. Every video made me richer. I never imagined making money could be this easy. It felt like I'd found my talent. I planned a new angle, something to keep the audience guessing. So I came up with the idea for private live streams, pay-to-watch exclusives. My fans ate it up, both figuratively and literally. During the first live stream, I repeatedly pressed my head into a large bowl of sauce, as if someone were forcefully pushing me down. The chat exploded. Who's hurting you? Why isn't she fighting back? Is she okay? Kate, we're here for you, just give us a sign. The tips poured in. The live stream was a massive success, but it came with a problem. Comments shifted from concern to skepticism. She's faking it, they'd say. This is all for attention. Some even presented compelling evidence to prove their point. They weren't wrong. I needed a new plan. That's when I brought Joel into the picture. Joel was a struggling actor I found through an extras group. I pitched him the idea. He'd play my captor, forcing me to eat during live streams while I pretended to beg for mercy. Joel was hesitant at first, but the promise of money changed his mind. Our first joint live stream was electric. Joel loomed behind me, occasionally barking orders as I stuffed food into my mouth. The chat went wild. This is insane. Someone call the police. Katie, are you okay? The more desperate I acted, the more money came in. For weeks, the plan worked perfectly. Joel and I split the profit, and my channel reached heights I'd only dreamed of. But then, Joel started getting too into his role. It was during our third live stream together. Something felt off the moment we started. Joel's demeanor had changed. He wasn't just playing the part, he was embodying it.
Eat!
He growled, shoving a massive crab leg in front of me. I played along, taking exaggerated bites, but Joel wasn't satisfied. He grabbed a handful of shrimp and pushed it toward my face.
More!
He demanded. The chat exploded. Oh my God, this is too real. Why everyone keeps saying she's acting? She's a good actress? Someone needs to stop this. Huh. At first, I thought Joel was improvising for dramatic effect. But when I tried to signal for him to ease up, a subtle tap on the table we'd agreed upon, he ignored me. "Joel, that's enough," I whispered, my voice barely audible under the sounds of chewing. He leaned in close, his breath hot against my ear.
This isn't what you wanted, Katie.
My stomach dropped. Joel grabbed a handful of food and stuffed it into my mouth harder this time. I gagged, my blindfold slipping as I tried to push him away. I tried to spit out the food and scream, but Joel's hand clamped over my mouth.
Keep eating. The show must go on.
Desperation kicked in. I reached for the only weapon I had, the food itself. Grabbing the greasy seafood plate, I hurled it at Joel's face. He recoiled, momentarily stunned. I seized the chance to run, tearing off the blindfold and sprinting out of the room. I didn't stop running until I reached the police station. My story spilled out between gasps for air, but the officers didn't seem convinced. When I showed them the text between Joel and me, they raised their eyebrows.
These messages make it clear this was all planned.
"It wasn't supposed to be real," I shouted, but they didn't care. To them, I was just a desperate YouTuber trying to go viral. Now, I'm back home. Every door locked, every window bolted shut. My YouTube channel is gone, my social media accounts deleted. But the fear remains. Yesterday, I received an email from an unknown sender. "Isn't this what you wanted, Katie?" No attachments, no context, just that one sentence. I don't know where Joel is now, but I can't shake the feeling that he's watching me. Somewhere, out there, he's waiting for me to let my guard down.
With over 5 years of experience working at this print shop, this is the first time I've encountered such an issue, and it makes me feel extremely uncomfortable. For a person with severe OCD like me, doing everything meticulously and accurately down to the millimeter is how I minimize risks in both work and life. A stray thread, an extra scrap of paper, or an uneven edge always catches my attention and leaves me feeling deeply unsettled. The torn piece of skin on my hand right now is no exception. I feel compelled to clean it up and make it look neat and tidy. Looking at the perfectly treated wound on my hand, I can finally rest easy and fall asleep. I tossed and turned in bed, unable to sleep. The itch at my fingertips kept throbbing. The regrowing skin made me restless. I sat up and stared at my finger, seeing it start to scab over, the dry, hard crust and the wrinkled skin around it. So ugly, I calmly concluded. I reached out to peel off the scab, seeing the leftover skin tear a bit more. I kept peeling until the strip of skin extended over 2 knuckles. Looking at the peeled off strip, the pain disappeared, replaced by a feeling of nerve tension, a sense of satisfaction from having done something perfect. I felt my fingertips itching, burning, urging me to act, to make sure my whole hand had matching wounds so the perfect feeling in my eyes could last longer. Perfect, satisfying. That was my first feeling when I looked at the 2 symmetrical wounds on my hands. The clock showed 3 a.m. My eyes were stinging and my hands were sore. I contentedly lay back down to enjoy a good night's sleep. I hadn't been asleep for long when I felt something crawling on me. The sound of something crunching and rustling disrupted my sleep, pulling me from the edge of unconsciousness. Unable to bear it any longer, I bolted upright. I had to find the intruder and get rid of it. Before my eyes was a large ant trying to bite my finger. I've always maintained a spotless lifestyle, so ants have no place in my home. Furious, I crushed the ant, but the rustling sound persisted. I turned to my bedside table, and what I saw was revolting. A swarm of ants was feasting on the discarded bits of skin I had trimmed earlier. The sight sent chills down my spine. Grabbing a can of insect spray, I went on the offensive. The ants were swiftly defeated, and the maddening rustling finally stopped. Utterly exhausted, I decided to ignore my brain's protests and the chaotic mess on my bedside table. I told myself I'd clean it up in the morning. For now, my body desperately needed rest. But sleep wouldn't come. My whole body felt itchy. Maybe it was the venom from the large ant, or maybe it was just my OCD brain rebelling against my laziness. For the third time that night, I woke up. A fiery rage surged through me, and I swore to annihilate anything that dared disrupt my sleep. Then, I found it. A cursed ant was trying to eat me alive. It had burrowed its entire body into the wound on my left hand, leaving only its tail sticking out. I frantically tried to pull it out with my fingers, but the ant succeeded in wriggling entirely into my finger. An unbearable, agonizing sensation overwhelmed me. I could feel every tiny movement of the ant inside my body, its path causing the skin above it to bulge grotesquely. The horror drove me to my limit. I grabbed the edge of the wound and tore the skin away, desperate to catch it. The ant began crawling up my left arm, and I continued ripping the skin in a long, jagged strip, chasing after it as it moved. I focused all my energy on the battle with the ant. It was tunneling under my skin while I tore the flesh above it, creating a path to finally catch it. The chase felt endless, and the strip of skin I peeled away grew longer and longer. Finally, I cornered the ant. The strip of my skin snapped loose entirely, and there it was, right in front of me. Satisfied, I crushed my enemy with all my might. A wave of triumph and pride surged through me, but at the same time, an excruciating, burning pain coursed through my body. Startled, I looked down at myself. My entire body was now stripped of its outer layer of skin, leaving me raw and exposed. The long strip of skin dangled from my hand, but something was pulling at the other end. I turned to look, and there it was. A massive, grotesque ant, far larger than any I'd ever seen. Worse, it was tugging at my skin strip, trying to devour it. Furious, I fought to reclaim my skin. I couldn't live with a body stripped bare like this. But the ant was faster. It opened its enormous jaws and slurped my skin like a strand of spaghetti. The creature swelled, grotesquely growing to the size of a 10-year-old child. Its abdomen bulged to near bursting, and I could see clearly through its translucent belly the remains of the ants I had killed earlier. Along with my skin, the ant let out a smug belch, as if mocking me. Consumed by rage, I lunged at the monstrous creature, determined to destroy it. Caught off guard, the ant couldn't fight back in time. I pinned it to the ground and unleashed a storm of kicks, venting all my fury. Its swollen abdomen couldn't withstand the pressure and burst open with a sickening pop. My skin strip, crushed ant corpses, and viscous fluid sprayed all over my room. I stood amidst the chaos, seething with frustration. But first, I needed to retrieve my skin. I stood in front of the mirror, satisfied as I admired my new skin coat. Perhaps this was the perfection I had been searching for all along.